Welcome back to Grounded, the home of mindfulness, meditation and self-exploration. As always, these videos are always aimed at creating more self-awareness within the individual that watches them. Today I'm talking about thinking versus feeling. Now, for most of us, we live in this thought-based reality. Now, when I say a thought-based reality, what I'm pointing to is our personal sense of self is being derived from thinking. So thinking gives rise to the idea we have of ourselves as a separate person, and that separate idea is what creates the separation between all of us. So we all have these personal senses of self which are being derived by thought, which has been generated by experience. Then we have another state, which is the feeling state. Now the feeling state is when we have realized our true essence, which is beyond the personal sense of self, realized that connection with life itself, realized our own life force energy. And when this realization happens within us, we then inhabit a feeling-based reality. Now, to make things a little bit easier, I have a whiteboard. Now the idea of this whiteboard is to help show exactly what's going on. It's a very basic understanding, but this basic understanding will give you a little bit of an insight into what I'm talking about. So as you can see, we have three people on this board. They are neither he nor she's. And underneath three people, we have three stages of self-awareness. So the first stage of self-awareness is when life force energy, consciousness, awareness plugs into the human body. And in the first instance, this is consciousness in the womb as an embryo. Now awareness is needed to have an experience of any kind. So this is what is primary. So it's awareness plugging into the body, and that awareness is what is needed to have an experience. So you're having thoughts, you're having emotions, the world's chopping and changing around you. There's a lot of chopping and changing happening, but that chopping and changing is happening within awareness. So awareness is what is before any experience. Without awareness, there is no experience at all. So we all need awareness to have an experience. So the very fundamental, or the very purest aspect of ourselves is the state of awareness. And that is the continual, ever present in your life. You are always aware. For without awareness, there is no experience. So stage one is life force energy plugging into a body, or in the initial phase, an embryo within the womb. Now the second stage is when awareness awakens in a body. And this is, when a child looks in the mirror and a child recognizes itself, that is awareness awakening, awareness becoming self-aware. But it's becoming self-aware of itself as a mind and as a body. Then what actually happens is we begin to relate to the world through experience. So as we're experiencing the world, we are relating to the world through interpreting our reality through the brain. So as we experience, we interpret the experience through the brain. So we're interpreting reality through the brain, and then that creates thought, which is our interpretation, and then our thoughts create our beliefs, and then our beliefs create our sense of self. Now when awareness awakens to mind and body, it takes on a person identity. So awareness, which is life force energy, awakens in a body and takes on the beliefs generated through experience, which creates me. And this is a thought-based reality. So when I say it's a thought-based reality, it's because your beliefs are generating your thoughts, and you class that as me. So you see life, you see the world through how you've interpreted your experiences. If you've had bad experiences in childhood, you're going to have a bad interpretation. You're going to have a very heavy personal identity. So stage 2 is awareness, life, identified with, experience, creating sense of self, which we class as me. And me is our thought-based reality. So we are looking through reality from our beliefs, from our conditioning, from who we believe ourselves to be. Our beliefs are paving the way for which we interact with the world. Now this is stage 2. This is where most people in humanity are at. In this personal identity, believing themselves to be separate from the whole, but in fact it's still awareness holding together personality. So it's now awareness identified with me, personal identity. Now stage number 3, and as I said, this is creating a thought-based reality. Stage number 3 is where awareness itself becomes self-aware through feeling. So here we're just thinking. Now as we evolve and we begin to feel our bodies, because how many people even know what I'm talking about when I say feel your body? The only time we feel our body is when we get a pain. And then when we get a pain, we go to the doctor looking for a prescription. But other than that, our awareness is so identified with this sense of self that all we're aware of is thought. But in stage number 3, awareness becoming self-aware through feeling, as we practice meditation, as we practice grounding in our body, what actually happens is our life force energy begins to become self-aware, begins to become aware of life force energy through feeling. So awareness now, through feeling the body, through recognizing its own life force energy, becomes self-aware. And what actually happens is awareness begins the unity of being identified or realizing awareness itself. Now, as awareness becomes self-aware, we're moving from thinking to feeling. So no longer is our awareness identified with thinking and personal, it's now identified or aware of feeling. It's now feeling itself. It's now truly feeling itself rather than thinking. And so as we begin to feel, what actually happens is we no longer, or our identity begins to dissolve. So in this feeling based, there is unity. So it's life recognizing itself. And that is the unifying field, which is represented in stillness, and it has no identity. So when this happens, we're talking about self-realization. We're talking about realizing the essence of who we are, stepping out of personal identity and into universal identity. And this is developing sixth sense. So I'm talking about the 5 senses, which everybody's familiar with in this state of consciousness. The sixth sense is the ability to feel and the ability to register what you truly are. So we develop the sixth sense. Now in this one we're talking personal identity, in this one we're talking awakened. So as you see, consciousness has to pass through this stage to realise what it is. Then this becomes a feeling-based reality. And once you become a feeling-based being, you are connecting with life itself, the intelligence of life itself. You are becoming or realising life itself, becoming more of life itself as this personal identity begins to dissolve. I hope you can see that. So that's the difference between thinking versus feeling. They're 2 different states of consciousness, all playing out within awareness, but in the last stage, awareness is becoming aware of life force energy. This is an awakened being. And that is where true peace, true contentment, true love comes from. True unconditional love. Because you realise all is connected. Everything is intertwined everything is existing in a state of oneness. It's only this idea of ourself that creates separation. It's this separation that allows us to go to war with the person next door, allows groups, allows countries. It's the idea of separation that creates all of the conflict we see on the planet. But as we move to this state, we realize that all is awareness itself, and every single one of us behind this personal identity is the state of awareness, is the state of oneness, is the state of unity. And only when this happens with human beings across the planet and with mankind as a whole, then and only then can we have true peace, because there is no opposition. There is only the oneness and the benefit and the serving of the one, which you are. And that is the greatest secret to life. That is life's greatest gift and the purpose to awaken to your divinity. Now, I've also created a meditation for feeling the body. Okay, so if you really resonate with this, there will be a meditation video. It's only a short feeling the body. It's a practice in feeling the body. But that should be accompanying this board and this video. But again, this is sixth sense. It's something that has to be developed until you're able to recognize it and to be continuously in flow with this. You notice this is a flow in and a flow out. So it's a flow inwards, and it's not, the energy is not staying in the person, it's flowing. So there's a continuous loop, a continuous flow of in and outgoing energy in communion, in harmony with each other. And that is your connection with source consciousness. That is your connection with your divinity. That is your connection with consciousness itself. For you are not this person. You are only the illusion of this person. You are actually this. The one great infinite being. To the next one, much love.